Corey Parker with us, 347 games for the Broncos between 01 and 16, 19 matches for Queensland between 04 and 16, Origin Player of the Series 2015, 13 Tests for Oz, a Grand Final, Dally M winner, Broncos Player of the Year many times. I could go on and on and on. What a fantastic player. And now you're part of the commentary team as well, presenting the NRL tours. Welcome to the show, mate.
Hey, how you going? Thanks for the intro.
Yeah. It could have been longer than that too with your list of achievements. So how much are you enjoying being on the other side of the mic though these days?
Oh, look, I enjoy it for most parts of the year, but it comes to this point in the year and there's an Origin match on tonight that you sort of get that fire inside the belly and the blood starts to boil and you can nearly smell the liniment coming out of the tube. That's the time you really want to be out on the field. But, of course, everyone's time comes to an end, and that was for me many years ago. But it shapes as a hell of a contest tonight. But you do, look, I mean, I got the best job in the world. You played the game for a long period of time, and now you get to talk about it. So, mate, very grateful.
Corey, just hearing you say that, I mean, obviously the passion exists as you as a Queenslander. So you're born and bred there, obviously?
Yeah, born and bred Queensland. I've only ever played for two clubs my whole life. So that was my junior club and obviously the Broncos, and then was fortunate enough to go into Queensland, Australia from that. So being born and bred in Queensland, mate, it's a special place, Queensland.
Yeah, I know that this gets talked about and it brought up all the time, but to me it's one of the few non-cliches in sport. There is something that exists there. There's something in the water that binds you all, and especially for this series.
Well, it does. It does. Now, I can only speak on behalf of Queensland and my experiences. I can get what people are saying and why the people south of the border get so cranky in regards to, they don't, we don't have the passion and all this sort of stuff. But yeah. I can only speak for me. State of Origin's more than just a game. And I'll tell you what, it's when you pull on a maroon jersey as a Queenslander, you're playing for yourself first and foremost, your family, that have paid the price and sacrificed and done everything that you've done, just don't get the accolades. But more importantly, and the most important part of that, you're playing for the 4.1 million people that, for that point in time, for that 6-week period, for those 3 games, nothing else matters. Financial worries, health crisis, droughts, floods, all these things that do occur in all our lives. Doesn't matter for that period of time, because when Queensland go out to play, if they get a win or a victory, everything else is going to be okay for a period of time. It's like immunity for the next day. Every time I was a kid and Queensland won the night before, I'd go to school in a Queensland jersey, and nobody would even stop to ask, where's your school uniform? It's an immunity. It's a way of life. It has such an impact, such a profound impact on the community. From right at the top of Bamaga down to the border at New South Wales, you are able to touch and have an influence over somebody's life. And when you're able to understand that from a player's point of view, and you've got 17 people collectively thinking like that and being able to go out there and execute, it's a pretty powerful thing.
My God, I'm just listening to that, mate. I'm thinking, they don't need a warm-up speech. They just got to hear you saying that. It's as simple as that.
Well, that's it. That's the difference. That's Queensland. That's what Queensland is to me. That's what I believe playing State of Origin is like. At some point in time tonight, Queensland's going to face a fair bit of adversity. It's an Origin match. And if you're looking for a bit of motivation, think about those things. Think about what you're doing. Think about the influence you may have on a little kid, a little boy or girl that is aspiring to be a rugby league player, and then you'll find something.
Because when Billy Moore came down that tunnel, at just an immortal moment where he's shouting Queenslander, and look, and we might take the mick out of him or whatever, it's real, isn't it? That was real.
Well, it was real in the sense that he was trying to inspire his team, in that regard. But I mean, it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But through my duration of playing for Queensland and through the nucleus of players that were involved in that, that's what it means to me. That's what it means to me. I mean, for the one time in your life, you get to run out there with your name on the back of the jersey. Just think about that for a moment. You run out there and you got Parker on the back of your jersey. It's pretty incredible and proud moment for everyone that's part of your family, for your mum and dad and sister, and everyone that's been on that journey with you. They're not playing, but they're part of that, and you're carrying that name. So you want to do it as good as you can. So there's a lot of factors into it, but at the end of the day, it's an 80-minute game, and you've got to go out there and perform.
Corey Parker's with us. I mean, I've got so many questions to ask you. How many of those jerseys have you kept?
Yeah, no, I got pretty much all of them, to be fair. My family's got some. The memories will always live on. I mean, a jersey is a bit of fabric, and it means a fair bit. I've got my first one. I've got the one I won the Wally Lewis medal in, and family's got some of the others. But there's just sort of nothing like it. There's nothing like pulling on that maroon jersey. And it's not until you actually get the opportunity to do it that you understand what people are talking about.
Corey Parker is with us. We've got Origin tonight. It is in Adelaide. And look, I'll just track back to what you said about, in New South Wales. Look, I'm a cockroach. I've got to tell you that. I mean, my brother lived in Sydney for 15 years. I was just ingratiated with that. And I can understand New South Wales and New South Welsh people, Welsh men and women, wanting to take you to task on that, because what you're talking about is something that is indefinable, but it is real. You can't buy it, you can't pretend, you can't manufacture it, can you? And I think that New South Wales, over the years, have been desperately trying to drink some of that elixir, or at least make it as real. Would that be fair?
Well, again, I mean, it's perceived that way at different points in time, particularly from New South Wales' point of view. I don't think, and I've got some great mates that have played for New South Wales. I don't know if that's been the case the entire time. So I can only sort of really talk for Queensland, and I know it irks New South Wales to no end to say that there's more passion north of the border, etc. But that's my passion. I just give you a quick little rundown of what it means to me for the state of Origin. I mean, you make your own decisions based on who you talk to, but that's what Origin means to me. It may mean something completely different to somebody else, but that's what it means to me. So that's what motivates me, and I'm sure, from the players' perspective tonight, that's what will motivate them.
Why does the rest of Australia jump with you, though, if that's the case? Because if you're in Adelaide, you're in South Australia. I mean, you've got your own thing going on. You've got your own AFL teams. You've got a beautiful part of the country, your own vineyards and everything else. You probably should be bitter and twisted about both the big sort of states and all the glamour and glitz that they get. But most of Australia jumps on you guys.
Well, I think, everyone loves an underdog, and for whatever reason, Queenslanders have always come in as underdogs. I don't know how or why. That's not our decision. That's the bookmakers that make those decisions. But, it's the Australian way, isn't it, to follow an underdog or get behind an underdog. But I think, also those little, little habits or traits or, things that I was just talking about, I'm pretty sure it's part of the DNA of a Maroon, and I think a lot of people gravitate towards that. So, again, I can only say from my experiences.
Okay. Looking at this team, and you look at the lineups, 1 against 1, 2 against 2, all the way through to the bench. It's really difficult to separate the actual playing strengths of the sides, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Flip a coin in regards to that, but that's not Origin. And again, I don't want to harp on about it.
No, please talk, man. Keep talking about it. I love it.
Origin, you need talent, and both teams have got it. You got 36 of the best players in the competition. You need talent. You need a little bit of luck, but the one thing you need is that player or that person that is willing to sacrifice and go to put his body through a bit of pain to the point where he's got his own job done, yet he's got to look after his mate. And big games are won on moments. And they're generally the moments that don't require any skill or any talent. They're the moments that require effort. And if you've got 17 guys with a mindset of turning up to, get the Common Cause done on effort, you will win the game. You will win the game. Whether that's a kick chase, whether that's an inside pressure on a kicker, whether that's, filling in for your mate defensively because his ass is hanging out, and he'll do it for you when you're in the same boat. If that's your mindset, you will get the game done, because there's enough talent across the game. There's enough talent across both teams to win anything. You just mentioned about, they're so evenly matched right across the park. Well, how do you decipher who wins and who loses? and it's based on that effort.
I'm looking at a name, Patrick Carrigan, and I think he absolutely defines what you're talking about. Last year, that was his first Origin series, and he played like an absolute beast from game one. That's what you're talking about, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, exactly right. You know, some players have gone into that Origin arena and have had huge amounts of following or skill and all the above, and just haven't quite, for whatever reason, haven't quite succeeded. Other players go into that arena with not as much fanfare and have just absolutely relished in that moment. And it's based on that. It does something to you. Origin, and you know, we talk about it so highly now because it's, you know, it's the premier thing of what we got in our game in Australia. And everyone from right across around the world who loves rugby league will tune in to watch the Origin match. And you know, someone like a Paddy Carrigan last year, you know, sitting there on the bench and he's like, geez, I want to get a part of this. And when he gets part of it, he wants to make himself stay there. And you know, he had a wonderful series. But New South Wales have got those players too, which makes it, you know, why it makes it so even. But the winner or loser will come down to an effort play.
Was there ever an easy game, Corey? Was there ever a time,
No.
even during that whole 9-year winning streak, which just gutted us every single year?
Yeah, a lot of people forget about that 9-year winning streak on how close the games were. Like time moves on, and I understand that. And you just look at, you know, Queensland win. But through those times, you know, there was 1 point field goal. There was 2 point. You know, there was 4 tries apiece. You know, everyone missed a goal, or, you know, they were so close. On the odd occasion, there was a blowout. In 2015, I think it was, we won 50-something to, I forget the score, not much at all, at Suncorp Stadium in decider. Like, even that game at 30-odd, your mindset is so dialed into producing and executing for the team and the crowd that you sort of, you know, you enjoyed it, but there was no easy game. It's state of origin. There's no rest. It's the fittest of the fittest. It's the pinnacle of what you do. It's unreal. That's what it is.
It's just got bigger and bigger, hasn't it? Because one of the questions that we always ask over this side is it bigger than International Rugby League in Australia? Clearly, obviously, it is. It started in 1980. It's not slowing down, is it?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously the premier game of what we are able to do in regards to rugby league. I still hold playing for your country the highest accolade you can do in the game of rugby league. However, playing for Queensland is a very close second. It's different. I think anyone that's been able to pull on, you know, an All Black jersey, or, you know, a Kiwi jersey, or an Australian jersey, still holds that as their optimum of what you're able to do, because that's your country. That's who you stand for. But then when you pull it back a bit and you go to the, okay, state of origin, it's played it's the hardest football you'll ever play, but it's also the most rewarding also. So much to play for.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to what I said there before. The result of Queensland winning has such an effect on 4.5 million Queenslanders for 12 months. Not just one day, not just 2 days. It's 12 months again till you're able to rectify that, whether you win or lose.
When the games finish, can you remember what it actually felt? Did you feel relief? Did you feel elation? Do you look back now and you're probably more happy about it? You're just exhausted. What are the overwhelming feelings?
You're exhausted. You're relieved. The elation. For that, it's probably 5 to 10, 15-minute period after a game before you make your way back into the sheds. You're enjoying a feeling you can't explain from a player's perspective unless you've been there, with 52,000 people at Lang Park. It's the best part of your life, for that feeling you have, and that's what then burns. If you're unable to get that, you know, that then is the motivation. It's I don't know. It's just a different feeling, and I touch on. It doesn't matter where you walk. If you walk down the street, people know you play for Queensland. Like, you're a rock star, and not a rock star as in that. You know, you can, you know, just sort of walk past. You have an influence, and I keep coming back for that. You have such an influence on the way these people feel off the basis if Queensland are able to win a series.
I didn't even have to ask you who's going to win tonight at all. That's terrific, mate. Honestly, I'm sitting here just soaking every syllable up, and I'm sure that the audience will.
Well, the winner tonight, it's going to come down. Like, you can flip a coin. You said so yourself. Like, I can sit here and say, Queensland are going to win. But do I know that? No, I don't. It's so evenly matched. However, what I do know is the DNA that is instilled into Queensland. That's one thing I do know. That's one thing I can lean on. And I know at some point tonight, you're going to have to lean on that. And if they're able to lean on that for long periods of time, well, there's enough skill in Queensland to get the job done. It'll traditionally be a close game. The first game's always a close, hard-fought game. Let's go Queensland 18-16.